marquee game. Let's get into another marquee game in the SEC for Saturday. You got Alabama playing at Texas A&M, and these teams have a lot of talent, great coaching staffs that bring in top high school talent. On the other hand, you wouldn't think of that by going by last year's game, which was a 59-0 blowout by then-ranked #1 Alabama. And the thing is, at the time, Texas A&M was ranked number 21 in the country, and it was that bad. 602 yards for Bama, only 172 for a speed-oriented A&M team. So it was a blowout from start to finish. It was the biggest one-sided victory for Alabama since they beat Vanderbilt 66-3 in 1979. Sean, what was the line on that Vandy game?
Well, that I don't remember, but this 59-0 was probably they were still mad at Johnny Football for that time they upset Alabama on the road from way back. Maybe they're just letting them know they hadn't forgotten about it. So.
Yeah, and that game was a Bear Bryant game that they beat Bama so long ago. This Bama team, they have been impressive in two big step-up games, really blowing out Wisconsin in the second half. And then they blew out what we thought was a good Georgia team, 38-10. But they did have that mishap against Ole Miss, 43-37.
At home.
Yeah, they couldn't play any defense. That was quite a shocker. And they come off, the offense is balanced, which they like. I like the job that Lane Kiffin is doing with mixing up the run and the pass. And Saturday, the defense got back on track, facing a good Arkansas run offense, and they just shut them down. 27-14 win, but they outran them 134-44. The defense was exceptional, holding Alex Collins to 26 yards. They picked in an interception along with 3 sacks. But this is a road challenge here, Sean, so I think they're going to be up for it.
Yeah, this Alabama is rated number 10. This is another one of these where the worst team is, if you want to call it the worst team, number 10 against number 9, but Alabama's favorite, plus they're on the road. 4.5, I've actually seen some 5s out there, so maybe the early indication is the line might go up. I find that hard to believe. I made the number 4, so at least I didn't miss it by as much as I did this Michigan line, which I wasn't even close on. This is another Saturday game. It goes at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. CBS is going to cover the game. This is an SEC West divisional matchup, so it's a major game for both teams. Bama, 5-1 straight up, but a very poor 2-4 against the bookie. They just don't cover numbers, and they're coming off a 27-14 win as a home favorite of 16.5. They did not cover the game. Arkansas scored late to get the money. And they host Tennessee next week, so it's not a bad scheduling thing. They're not afraid of no Tennessee next week. This is actually the only tough game for Alabama until they get to the end of the season, play the Iron Bowl at Auburn. Bama has won the last 2 years. We talked about this at A&M. They thumped them last year 59-0. They were a home favorite at 21.5, so there was no doubt about where the talent edge was. Bama senior quarterback, what's his name? Coker, 11 touchdowns. Yeah, 6 interceptions, which isn't bad. And they get that running back, Derrick Henry. He's a good threat. He runs at 5.5 yards per carry, a total of 665 yards, so he can carry the mail. A&M rested. They're coming off a bye. That's got to help them. All right. They beat Mississippi State 2 weeks ago as a home dog of 5, so they might still be celebrating. You never know about that. Tough road ahead, though. They traveled to Ole Miss, and they lost to Ole Miss last year by 15 points as a home favorite of 3. So that little bit of look ahead there, but you're not going to look past this team. A&M throws the football, and it does it really well. That sophomore quarterback, Kyle Allen, how about 13 touchdown passes, only 2 interceptions. And he leads a really great group of talented receivers. Let's look at A&M. They're 5-1 straight up, 3-1 against the bookie. They've been favored in all 5 games by an average of 15 points a game. So, this is another step-up game. It looks like A&M's offense, Jeff, if I'm reading this right, it's against A&M's offense against Alabama's D. Big-time home revenge for A&M. Their next 2 games will determine the A&M season. This game and the game against Ole Miss, that's going to determine where they're going to fit. This is tough. Like I said, I made the line Alabama 4. Alabama's the more storied program. They seem to step up in these games. I keep thinking about that Georgia game. Mm-hmm. And, they bounced back off of that Ole Miss game. A gun to my head, I guess I'd lay the 4.5 and hope, but it's not going to be a play for me.
Well, you made the right line because it opened 4 and it's
I made it 4 and thought it would pretty much sit there, maybe 4.5, but I don't think it's going to go far.
Well, we got it coming up to 5 on the early lines here. 52% of the early money on Bama, so it's in the 4.5 to 5 range. And this A&M team really was supposed to be good because they had 8 starters back on both sides of the ball. Kevin Sumlin, I like him. He's brought in 3 consecutive top 10 recruiting classes, loves speed on offense, and he really has a good team this year. Now they're undefeated, 5-0. Kyle Allen, only a sophomore, but he's got 13 touchdowns, 2 picks.
He's a talent. Yeah,
he certainly is, yeah. And the wide receiver core that you mentioned is great. They had 2 step-up wins this year. Rolled over Arizona State in the opener, and then they played Mississippi State, won both games by double digits. So, Jeff, this offense is great, but this is no ordinary defense they're going to be facing this week.
Yeah, I learned a couple of weeks ago when Alabama played Georgia, I said a slight lean toward Georgia. I said, I hate to go against Saban, but I'm not going to go with Saban again. I'm not going to go against him again. So if I had to play this game, I'd probably go with Alabama. But you talk about a big revenge game, 59-0. That's pretty. That's pretty bad. And 2 years ago, Alabama won. They beat Johnny Manziel 49-42. Jay Coker completed 14 of his final 17 passes against Arkansas after throwing 2 picks in the first quarter. Derrick Henry had 101 yards, 3.5 yards per carry. Alabama only averaged 2.9 yards per carry in that game, but they held Arkansas to 1.8. So that's probably what we're talking about here. We're talking about great defense versus a great offense, and you know what usually wins there. Texas A&M has a week of rest after their pretty impressive wins over Arkansas, Mississippi State. Kevin Sumlin's only 3-5 against the spread, though, with rest. Quarterback Kyle Allen is completing 64% of his passes, 13 TDs, just 2 interceptions. What's really made a big difference here for A&M this year was a new defensive coordinator, John Shavers, who came from LSU. So I agree with everyone here. The line's pretty much perfect, and if I had to lean toward either team, it would be Alabama, simply because I just don't have no luck going against Nick Saban. What can I say?
Well, maybe the other thing too is, and we talked about, is there an edge somewhere like with this Michigan State game? Alabama quarterback is a senior, maybe a little, Allen is an incredible talent, but he is a sophomore. How many games like this has he been in? That might be, but when you're at home, you're a little less prone, I think, to making mistakes. But if there is an edge, maybe it's at the quarterback level. But boy, this is not a big endorsement.
Well, I'll close it out by looking at the total, because Bama offensively so potent. They hung 59 on them a year ago. I like what Lane Kiffin is doing, mixing things up on offense. They're on a 5-4 run over the total, and I love this Texas A&M offense, what Sumlin has done since he's been here. They are 0-9 against the spread after a bye week. They also haven't been covering in these SEC games, 5-12 ATS. It is a good spot for them off the bye week, but keep that in mind. So I'm going to look at the total. I think the speed and the balance on offenses is just going to be too much. I'm looking at the high-scoring shootout between these two teams and a relatively close one. All right, before we get to our last game here, as USC plays Notre Dame, I'm going to take a look at some notes we got from viewers. Let's see here. Sean, you suck. Somebody wants to know.
That ain't nothing new. I get those notes all the time.
You've heard worse. Jeff, you don't know what you're talking about. And John, your big free winner was a big bleeping loser. Okay. And
this sounds like Bullseye Sports. That looks like 0-6 to me, right?
And it's signed Mom. Can you believe that?
We don't get credit for that Oklahoma State thing. I mean, come on, that Texas thing. We don't get credit for that.
We'd love to hear from you. If you want to drop us a note or anything, have any questions about the Vegas sports betting scene, go to Facebook at Proline TV or Twitter at Jim Feist Sports.